Hi guys, well, I just thought I did a video, a really long video, and then realised I hadn't pressed record. So that must have been about half an hour, which I know is really rambling, because it was really rambling. I was telling about my life, about when I was a baby, because I was born premature. So I just have to start the whole thing over again. Oh, I can't believe I didn't press record. I mean, it's really stupid because there is a great big red splodge at the top of my screen that I should have looked at and thought, there isn't a big red splodge in the top of my screen. I'm not recording. But no, not only I'm slightly hungover, but I've got digestive problems and I had really, really, really bad tummy ache for hours and hours and hours. I had to take some medication, but that also takes hours. So yeah, I was in excruciating pain for about 4 hours. And it came on really quick. But yeah, well, here we go. I'll start the video all over again. Oh God, I say stuff, and then I'm like, oh my God, I can't reiterate that exactly how I've done it before, because my brain just doesn't work that way. Obviously, people know I've got bipolar, I'm crazy, so where people would do a video and they would write maybe bullet points and stuff, I just can't do it. I mean, I can write them down, but they would have to write them on my phone because I can't write on paper anymore. Handwriting, that's the right word. I can't do handwriting. I can physically write it, but I can't read it back because I can't see very well, obviously. I can't read my own handwriting. I can't read people's handwriting. I used to be able to, so that's really frustrating. So yeah, take two about my life. I was born 1983. I was 3 months early and weighed £1.9. I was a very poorly baby. I was in an incubator for a really long time. Mum and dad just had to put their hand through the incubator things and like put a finger on my leg or like really gently stroke my head and things. I had a little bonnet on because I couldn't regulate my body temperature at all, and I still have problems with that now. You know, it wasn't just a case of, oh yeah, I'm premature and, you know, that was that. It has led to very long health conditions that have progressed into different health conditions over the years. But yeah, I was very poorly. I got meningitis. My skin was really, really thin, so I was a bit of a weird colour. And I was under a little heat lamp. I was jaundiced, but I was like severely jaundiced to a slightly weird colour. I think that's why I love laying in the sun. I'm like, is it a Greco that lays on like a hot rock and just lays there and soaks up the sun, and then if the sun goes in or they move, they get cold? That's what I'm like. Other people will probably say because I'm heartless. Anyway, that's for a different day. So yeah, back to me being a Greco. I hope that's the right word now. Yeah, so my dad used to own a nightclub, so he would finish work and come and sit with me. Obviously I wasn't aware of all of this because I was a baby. But I find like my son had to be in an incubator for a little bit when he was first born, and I walked in there and I just had this sense of calm. It was just really weird. It was very nice and calming, but with the little beeps and people talking quietly and things. I can't sit in silence. Either the telly is on or I've got a story on. not necessarily music. I have to be in the mood to listen to music. There has to be a reason, either I'm cleaning or I'm angry. I don't I don't tend to listen to music when I'm sad, and I know a lot of people do because they need to get the emotion out and things. So yeah, right. This is going to be really waffling, because that's how I talk. I jump from one thing to another, and I can't regulate that. So if you don't like the waffling videos, then I'm very sorry, because when I do a long video, that is what it's going to be. But yeah, I thought I'd tell you more about my life. So yeah, after doing a half-an-hour video of me talking about my life, and then realising I hadn't pressed record, yeah, I'm going to have to do it again. I've got Vera on the telly, and I've got voice assist as well, so it chats around me. Yeah, sorry, I just realised I just like shoved the phone in my face. Sorry, that's not what people want to see of an evening. Oh god, I have to go back now, because I'm like, oh yeah, I did this video, great, and then like, oh fuck. Sorry for the language. So yes, I have a £1 and it would get back to me being Diddy. And it'll be tiny me in the incubator. My dad put his hand out, and I was like the length of his hand when I was born. I weighed £1.9, which is about a bag of sugar. So I was in the incubator and very ill and poorly. And then when I did come home, I would have convulsions. And I think that's where my body shakes and I start to go slightly blue. I think. But I know this whatever happened. And I remember, it's really weird. I remember my dad picking me up and running with me outside. It was cold outside. I remember just seeing some stars in the sky, just dark. Now, I don't know how old I was, but that is a memory I do have. And he plunged me into this bath of freezing water. We were very lucky, very lucky to have some land. It was an old riding stables. My dad first bought it, and he like stripped the house and redid it, like completely remodeled it, because it was just awful. It was a shell of a house, and the girls that were looking after the horses and things, it didn't keep it in a good state at all. But obviously, Dad brought it, and so we had stables. So Dad just threw them up stuff. Dad was a hoarder. He was bipolar. At one point, we had 15 cars, and 3 of them worked. We had a tree growing out of one of the Range Rovers. One of the cream Range Rover, the door, you couldn't open the door because it was so rusty, it might fall off. But as a kid, it was great, playing in the cars and pretending I was driving, and I was very lucky to be able to go horse riding from a very young age. At first, it was with Riding for the Disabled, who are amazing, and I was very, very lucky to be able to compete as a rider for Riding the Disabled when I was older. So that's where it all began as well. A small little pony called Tuppence when I was 6, and that's how I was hooked. Loved it. I'd done ballet before, didn't like that. Horses, well, that was my thing, and I've been so lucky with the experiences that I've had through horse riding. It helped my mental health, and then it got, unfortunately, my fibromyalgia flared up so bad that I wasn't able to do it anymore, due to high pain and things, which I don't like saying that, because I've met a lot of people that have got was really severe disabilities, like no limbs, and they can do it, and they are awesome. I've met some amazing people, but unfortunately, the fibromyalgia, the pain, and episodes of bipolar where when I was a child, a teenager, and in my 20s, I had no fear. So I would ride the naughtiest little ponies, and I would be put on the naughty little ponies because I enjoyed it. I found their naughtiness highly amusing, and if they took off with me and galloped around the arena that I was in, or bucking or rearing, I just found that great. I found that really, that was my adrenaline thing. I loved it. But then it got to a point where various things happened. The bipolar got worse. I didn't know I had bipolar, and the fibromyalgia kicked in. I think it was when my dad's Alzheimer's got worse. But I'm doing a lot of self-reflection at the moment, and looking back on things in my life and realising how or why things, it sounds stupid, how things went wrong. Not necessarily wrong, just situations that have happened that have shaped my life in a way that maybe if things have been done differently, which I will get into, and I know that sounds really confusing. But so, yeah, I'm going to jump around things because that's just how I do things. You're going to be sick of me saying this. So yeah, with the horses, I was very lucky. And I was lucky that my mum and dad didn't wrap me up in cotton wool, because they started a charity for parents with visually impaired children. My dad became an advocate to help children get statemented, because you would go to school and because of your sight problems, you couldn't do your work properly. For me, I couldn't see the board very well. I had to have things in large print, and I used to have to do my own photocopying, which made me miss loads of the lesson. So by the time I got back, I'd missed loads. Primary school and middle school, so that's from 5 up to 12, 13. I had the most, they would be called teaching assistants now. I had the most amazing lady. She was called Linda Tipple, Mrs. Tipple. She was the best lady. Oh, she was amazing. She would read stuff. She was really kind. And I used to have this big board thing. So it would be angled, so it had a metal thing on the back. It went into this little wooden slot things. So your work would be angled up so you could see it better. Otherwise, for about 3 years in school, I would be bent over my work, and I've got a slight curvature of the spine because of that. So bent over my work for hours and hours a day because I had to get so close to see what I was writing and to read things. That caused problems. So they give you an angle point board, I think they're called, which was a bit better. But yeah, Mrs. Tipple was awesome. And my mum and dad, they'd let me be me. They'd let me go rough and tumble with the other kids. And I'd fall over and graze my knees, and they let me be me, which was, I was very lucky in that respect, because I've met other people and other parents, and they haven't been able to do that, and it's nothing to do with them. They just didn't feel like they could. But I was lucky that mum and dad gave me the independence, and I was a relatively confident child, but I didn't really fit in. I had friends. You know, I'm not saying I didn't. You know, I had some brilliant friends, but looking back, I wasn't like really close to them. For a long, extended time, but I had the most amazing imagination. I mean, almost to a point where the character that I liked in a book, I like become them. In a sense, like Georgia, Georgia, the famous five. You know, it got to a point where I was actually being called George. You know, I dressed like George and pretended I was part of the famous five and stuff. Um, you know, with my other friends, it wasn't just me on my own all the time. But I am an only child. So there were long periods of that I wasn't my own, but I wasn't on my own because I held with these imaginary friends. I had like imaginary worlds. So to me, I wasn't lonely. You know, and I would create different worlds. Because of having the riding stables as I got older, me and my friend would pretend that we owned the riding stables and we had horses, and I'd make this thing where I'd cut out pictures of horses and then we'd like height, their name, their stable name. When you compete a horse, generally they have a different name. So say if your horse was called Mr. Spooky something or other. I know that was a really bad example. Where its stable name would be different. I can't really give my ones because my brain's gone blank. I'm trying to think what boxer was. I can't. One of my ones had a really long name when he was competing, but in the stable he was called Boxer. And see, like I'm digressing again. I'm probably really confusing everyone. Where was I? Yes. Oh no, see, it's gone. I did a load of. Oh, it's just annoying that I didn't record everything. Yeah, so of course, yeah, wobbling about horses. So yeah, oh yeah, I was telling you about my school. Yes, I used to have to do my own photocopy and things. Obviously not in primary school. But when I reached secondary school, year 8, I was lucky enough to be in a class with my friends. But obviously, because I was different, people did take the mickey out of me. There was an extent of bullying, but I didn't see it as bullying. I just thought, oh, they're just being silly. Like people would put their nose on paper and go, oh, I'm Laura, I can't see things. And where people would say, oh, we're bullying, and people would get upset, I'd turn it around and laugh with them and go, oh yeah, that's really funny, and turn it into humour. And I think, looking back, when things like that happen now, or I get into a situation that is difficult or I can't handle, I try and use humour to not drag myself down. I also, with bipolar, when you drop, you drop. So I think I always would try to not drop, because that's the worst. Manics are dangerous, and you get yourself in situations, but you generally feel happy. There is a time sometimes that you fluctuate so quickly that you feel really low and really high, really low and really high. That they call that rapid cycling. But luckily, it can happen from 1 hour to the next, but that's not so bad anymore. A couple of years ago, it was doing that. That's scary. Not, but when you drop, you're like, you don't feel safe in your own head, and that's a horrible thing to experience. I will get quite sort of deep with things because I realise sometimes that there's people out there that will be feeling the same thing as me, but not know how to explain it, or that that they may feel really on their own. Because I've been there, and sometimes it's just nice to think, oh, I'm not the odd one out. What's happening to my head? Literally you think you're going round. When you're not, it's just your brain, just like having a moment. But I'm very lucky that I'm one. My medication is okay. I could be on more, but it was a very difficult process where I am now in Coventry. I was saw a psychiatrist in May. They said, here's one up your meds. And then they said, oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to go for a blood test, you've got to have ACG. You have to ring these other people. So I rang these people and they said, no, we don't have it. And then it took me 3 months to realise that the doctor did have a letter, my GP, but they didn't know anything about it. It got too confusing and I was getting too anxious. And I kept ringing people and they said, no, we don't have that. I kept ringing these other people and say, well, look, can you give them this bit of paper? And they said, well, it's not really going to help them. And even though it's really wrong, I sort of gave up because I thought, well, I don't know where to go and it's really stressing me out. So it's slightly defeating the point of me being slightly better. But also, medication can't help everything. It can't stop your feeling, and it can't cure the bipolar. It can regulate it better, but there's work you have to do yourself, and that's probably the scariest bit of all. Because you don't want to take too much medication, so you're like a zombie, but you don't want to be on less, that it feels like that your brain is a car and your foot is on the throttle. You're going 100 miles an hour and you can't put your foot on the brake and your brain's going row, row, row. It almost goes vroom, 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 and you can't control that and you know it's happening. And you're scared of your own head because you don't know what you're going to do. It's not a case of I'm going to harm myself or someone. You don't get that far. Some people do, and then you have to be sectioned for your own safety and other people. But to be sectioned, you cannot walk in to a mental health clinic and say, I don't feel safe, I want help. Now I know that I was in Hereford and I was 2015 and my brain just went, I needed help. So I tried to sign myself in and they said, because you're not stood here with your wrist slit and bleeding or saying you want to hurt other people, we cannot take you. And that really hit home to, well, no one can help. Because I've got fibromyalgia. I feel pain every day. It never goes away. There's just different levels of pain. I'm on gabapentin, which is a nerve medication, it is good, but it makes you put on weight. And different times of the month I get more hungry and things, and hormonal things that affects fibromyalgia. And your head, at times I feel that I'm in a vicious cycle. I am going to the gym. I have to be very careful about this because, one, I overdo it, or I go on a manic and I spend a lot of money on Ubers, because the gym I go to, it's a health club, so there's a swimming pool, there's spas and things. I know people are like, ugh, push you. It's like, I feel safe there. The gym is really well lit, and it's a really good atmosphere. I'm going once or twice a month at the moment. They've had a new spa thing in, and jacuzzi and things, so I'm going to check that out at some point. And I don't think I can do the YouTube thing. I don't know. I'm still learning what I can and can't do with YouTube. I'm waffling again. I think it's hard. I did say one on the, well, I didn't put it on the other video. I still waffled, but I had a bit more understanding of what I was saying and things. Hang on, I'm going to have to stick my head in my phone to see how long I have been waffling for. 26 minutes. I've got a magnifying glass. I didn't just like, oh yeah, I can see. This is my magnifying glass. Yeah, so, yeah, I wanted to tell you a bit about my life, and I hope people have found it interesting, and I'm really sorry if you haven't, and that it was just a waste of time, but I hope other people have found it interesting. Let me know if you have found it interesting, because I've got loads and loads of stories to tell, and I can't write a book, because I'm dyslexic, and I tried writing a book, and I tried to get someone to sort of ghost write it for me, or whatever it's called, and I sent in a couple of chapters, and when they sent it back to me, it was completely not how I wrote it, because I write how I speak, and how they did it was completely wrong, so I wasn't happy with that, and I gave them some money, so that was more annoying. So I've not done that. I thought I can tell my stories on YouTube, because I've got mad ones from college, from more mad horse stories, people I've met, my wonderful dad, and his my life with him and mum, and we're very lucky to the experiences and holidays that we've had, and I thought people might want to hear about it. So let me know in the comments. Please, no bad comments. But if you do like it, just say not for me. Don't sort of slate me for it. But I hope everyone's okay. I hope everyone had a really good Halloween. We did go to the yard. I've got footage, but there's people singing, and I don't know how to edit out the singing, and I don't know how good it would be, or how much sense it would make when there's not the actual music of people singing. And I can't edit either. And I don't have the money to pay for someone to edit. I did think of doing a course, but my the magnification things I have on my laptop probably won't work with editing software, which is a real bad shame. So I hope everyone is okay, and that they had a really good Halloween, and sorry, the dog's just sat here with me, just chilling. I'm trying to keep my jumper out of the way because it's got letters on it. But yeah, I'm gonna. I think I might be really cheeky and order a full English or something warm. I really can't be bothered to cook. but I also, in afterwards, I don't know what to eat because I've got digestive problems, and sometimes it kicks off really bad and I get really, really bad tummy. So I haven't slept very well because I've had 4 hours of extreme pain. It's eased a little bit now, but that might be due to medication. So, yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed it, and I'm really sorry that waffling. But thank you everyone that's subscribed. The numbers are slowly going up, and I'm just like, well, thank you. I know loads of them have been train journeys lately, and I am going to do some more things. It's just the going out. I haven't figured out because where I go, people are playing music, so I haven't figured that one out yet. And then obviously when I come back, I'm sometimes rather drunk, or I'm then hungover. So they won't be fun. The drunk videos will probably be very amusing, but I don't trust myself not to say something really stupid. So that's generally why I don't do videos when drunk. I have done some, but that's like when we were watching the Euros, and then we were singing, so that didn't really go up. Yeah, I probably should do more of a going to pubs thing. I haven't raised the money, so I'm like, well, I'd like to go out. We go out once a week. We save up like to do that. And no, we don't. Not every week, but we try to. We you get bored in the house just watching TV and just generally doing housework. I get bored. I have to go out. I have to be around people. And oh god, I've completely gone off track now. But okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna make another green tea. I might make a peppermint tea actually. And then I think I'm gonna watch some Criminal Minds, which I adore Criminal Minds. That would be my dream job. Like, I'd love to be a criminal profiler. That would be so cool. Sorry, waffling. Okay, everyone, right. I was going to have a really good Halloween. See you on speeder. I've talked so long, I'm completely there. I hope everyone had a really good Halloween, and I hope quite a lot of people are hungover because of it. And people that aren't, oh yeah, it's all Saints Day, isn't it? 'Cause it's the first. My nan was from Ukraine, and I know that they go and attend to all the graves and things. So that's cool. So, yeah, because a shout out to all the dead people. That is right, like, yeah, to my nan and my dad, and I miss you. Okay, that didn't come across well, but I hope people understood what I meant. Okay, well, I'm going. I will be back probably in a few days, depending on how this went. If people really liked it, and then I'll do more about my life. If people didn't, then you're just going to get short videos of me on trains, and randomly walking around. Yeah, and that really. Okay, right, I'm going. Happy Halloween, everyone. Thank you for liking and subscribing, and thank you for watching. And I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.